Some of you know that my husband Mark was only 43 when he was diagnosed with stage 4 terminal cancer. The doctors gave Mark a 1-year survival rate. Well, the doctors didn't know Mark very well because he ended up living 21 years with a terminal cancer. Can you imagine the strength it took to live with an illness of that magnitude for that long? But Mark made it look easy. He ran a business basically all by himself. And when he planned a vacation for us, well, I always knew it wasn't going to be to an island where I'd get to relax. Mark would plan adventures for us in nature, hiking, usually in Sedona, Arizona, high altitude, hiking up big mountains. So when the doctors told Mark, the end of 2019, that his cancer now spread throughout his lungs, around his heart, and there wasn't any treatment options left for him, does anyone want to take a guess what Mark decided to do? Yeah, Mark decided to plan a hiking vacation to Sedona. Is that what everyone does when they hear that news? Well, that's what Mark did. I thought it was crazy. I didn't think we should go. But Mark always knew exactly what to say that would get me right here. So I didn't bother arguing with him. But I thought we better be prepared. So I started to Google the nearest hospital to Sedona. I don't think you understand. I Googled it for me. I anticipated a nasty fall on this vacation because, you see, Mark thought it was his last one, and I knew he'd be a hiking maniac, and he was. I don't know where he got the strength to hike like that on that vacation, because at that point, he had over 20 bone tumors that had been radiated and a feeding tube. He couldn't take swallows of water the whole hike like I did. Yeah, I had a pack of water so big on my back, I had to hike forward or I'd topple over backwards. I had enough for about a week, but I was still worried I'd run out. For Mark to stay hydrated, it was a huge process. He'd have to take out a tube, attach it to a port in his abdomen, syringe in a bunch of water, feel all bloated, but he never complained. I'm a little embarrassed to admit that I was hiking way behind him with my big pack of water, complaining about how far we were hiking, how fast we were hiking. And then one day, it looked like it was going to storm. And I said, "Don't you think we should turn around?" He said, "Marianne, do you have to worry about everything?" Yes, I do. He said, "Look, the wind's blowing that way. It doesn't usually storm in Sedona. Don't worry about everything. Relax. Look at those beautiful red rocks. They go the whole way to the top. Look at the blue sky." I couldn't see what Mark was seeing because I was worried. I was worried about what I was going to lose. I knew that there wasn't any miracles left for Mark. And then all of a sudden, we were in the middle of a thunderstorm, a bad one. And I said, "I thought you said it didn't storm in Sedona." He said, "Well, it usually doesn't." Mark was so nonchalant about it, but I was scared to death. There was these big trees all around us, lightning real close. And out there, it's really dry. One drop of rain, and there's flash floods. This was torrential downpour, and the water was going up my legs. So I'm about ready to turn around and run out of there. And I look over at Mark. He was leaning against a big tree. He had his arms crossed, and he had this real peaceful look on his face. He was smiling. He was smiling in the middle of a thunderstorm. I said, "You gotta be kidding me. Aren't you scared?" He said, "No. If this is where I go today, right now, right here, I'm okay with that. Look, I wouldn't have seen those rocks that are going all the way to the top. Now they're beautiful waterfalls. I wouldn't have seen that today." Living without Mark hasn't been easy, but it becomes easier when I remember what we had, when I remember to cherish that, and when I remember to live with the awareness that Mark had. When I live with that attitude, life is better. Thank you.